This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Bergamy.
Well, hello there. Always good to see your smiling faces, or vice versa. I am Ray, he is Kenny, and he has got something he'd like to share with you.
Yep, it's called the show's lineup, and coming up, 3 weeks of no rain and temperatures well above the norm. Just some of the issues corn growers were forced to deal with this season. What effects, if any, will they have on this year's harvest?
Also on the program, ready or not, football season is upon us, and you know what that means. Our annual Meals from the Field tailgating edition. We've got some things you are really going to like.
And then later, do your roses look like this? Well, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's a problem. You're going to want to hear from gardening expert Paul Pugliese on whether or not they can be saved or if it's time to start over. These stories and much more start right now on the Farm Monitor. While the Midwest might be considered the Corn Belt, it's still a very important crop right here in Georgia, accounting for more than 50 million bushels per year. This year's harvest, well, looks to be another good one despite some challenges along the way, as Damon Jones explains.
Hot, dry weather is nothing unusual during the summer here in Georgia, and this year has certainly been no different, which has made growing season for corn a difficult one for the farmers.
Around May 14th to about June 4th, we had 21 days of no rain, and then during that same time period, our daily high temperatures were 6 degrees above normal. So that caused a lot of stress on our corn crop, especially if the corn was pollinating during that time.
And that means higher input costs for the growers as they've had to constantly water their crop throughout the heat wave. But it's a sacrifice that's really paid off as it's shaping up to be another good harvest.
It's been a struggle trying to keep it wet and cool all summer long. It's been so hot that you about couldn't turn the irrigation off all year long. It looks pretty good. The irrigated does. Now the dry land, there's nothing there now. It pretty much burned up. It's been so hot and dry, but irrigated overall looks like it's going to be a pretty good crop.
So with the dry land corn a complete loss and the edges of fields likely to be the same, this year's total yield in the state might be a little lower than expected.
Most of our corn's irrigated in Georgia, but on the end guns, sometimes we have trouble keeping up with the moisture. And we could have, even with an irrigation system, it's difficult to keep up with moisture demands when it's so hot and dry. I think we were going to have planted about 350,000 acres this year. We may only harvest, according to that report, about 310,000. So,
while growers did have to deal with the normal pests, disease this year has been much more manageable.
Stink bugs were a problem this year, and so growers were spraying for stink bugs. And then our disease pressure up until now has been light, so we have not had a lot of southern corn rust or northern corn leaf blight.
With harvest season now in full swing, the priority for farmers is to get the crops out of the field as soon as possible to avoid any serious weather.
Trying to get it in before any weather knocks it down. We already seen some lodging in the field with the corn starting to fall down a little bit, so the biggest thing now is us trying to get it out the field before any more falls.
Fortunately, one thing that has not been falling is the price of corn, and with the recent floods in the Midwest, growers are likely to see them stay pretty steady.
We were floating around $4.68 a bushel. There's been talk that it might go higher. We had some growers plant some later corn, thinking that the corn was going to go up because of some of the problems that they had in the Midwest.
And once harvesting is complete, it's imperative that farmers go ahead and start getting their fields ready for the rest of the year.
Palmer amaranth problems and tropical spiderwort problems. One of the best times of the year to help manage those pests is after we harvest the corn. After you get the corn off the ground, if you've got pigweed and if you got spiderwort, do something in that field, whether it's tillage or herbicides or both.
Reporting from Twiggs County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
All right, Damon, thank you very much. Now to other ag news, and really no surprise here. American Farm Bureau urging trade negotiators to strike a deal with China ASAP. They point to the fact that from 2017 to 2018, U.S. ag exports to China fell more than 50%, dropping to $9.1 billion. AFBF Executive Vice President Dale Moore says farmers who are already struggling may lose a market the industry spent decades building.
We did $9 billion worth of sales last year, and if that goes away, we've gone from a $20 billion market, and now it's back down into where we were almost 20 years ago. So that kind of a hit all across the agricultural spectrum has got the markets just reeling from what this is going to mean. What we really need are these trade agreements like the USMCA, the Japan agreement. Those kinds of things send a positive message, give some certainty as to what's going on in trade. But this China situation has gone on far too long, and we need to get it resolved.
Well, since we first profiled it in 2017, the Village Community Garden in Sylvester has exploded and become a staple around that area. So we decided to go back and see what's been the key to their success.
As John Holcomb tells us, it not only provides food, but also hands-on experience and educational opportunities to the community.
Welcome to Sylvester, a small town in southwest Georgia. A town that is changing thanks to this man, Sam X. A man that will not hesitate to tell you that he is no farmer, but is an artist. An artist that had a vision to change his community and is doing so through this community garden.
As an artist, in every community you need to have an artist that's interested in the community, someone that's interested in making a change. So my wife is an artist as well. Etta Garcia is an artist. And we felt like the best way to display our art is to have a canvas that is called a community garden.
After dreaming up the idea, they started reaching out to those in the community. They wanted people to be invested as much as possible, especially kids, so they got 4-H involved.
This is what we call a 4-H Serve Healthy Living project. The SERVE, S-E-R-V-E, are the acronyms for serving, education, research, volunteering, and entrepreneurship. And this is through a 4-H Walmart Foundation project that focuses on nutrition and education and getting young people engaged in agriculture.
Just like most community gardens, they grow fresh produce that they give to those that need it. But there's something different about this one, and that's this one has a huge focus on youth education, and who better to help educate than a university.
One of the things we've tried historically at Fort Valley State University is to work in those low wealth communities, those areas that may be off the radar screen, do not quick get all the attention for accomplishments. And we wanted to start a new life with the people that grew up there. In this case, starting with the youth. So partnerships, no one person carrying all the weight, but how we work and leverage our various skills to bring the community to a positive perspective. And so that's where we want to start. If we have the youth feel good about things, the youth are part of the involvement, the solution, the resolution, they'll be the ones that return to these communities and make it better themselves.
As you can tell, this is a project that relies solely on the community, which is something they take pride in and is something they're extremely grateful for.
Once upon a time, this was a vacant lot. And now to see what it's become in over 3.5 years, that doesn't happen without all aspects of the community being involved, from the mayor of Sylvester to the president of Fort Valley State University, the provost, the dean, the extension administrator, the neighbors around the way. It's just been a blessing to be a part of something that started with a concept that to help to create a healthy community.
In the end, they just hope this will be an example for what can be done all over the world.
Now you have a community that's setting an example that can be a model that can be replicated throughout this country and throughout the world, that of how you can create your own village community garden in your community.
Reporting in Sylvester for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
All right, John, nice job. After the break, time to get your grub on. We're going tailgating with home economist Marcia Crowley. Simple and easy recipes for your next pregame party.
Well, it's a 300-acre family-owned and operated farm. We have 2.5 acres, 40,000 strawberry plants. We have 80 to 90 mama cows, brood cows, that has a calf every year. But whenever I was little, it was all agriculture. I could leave the dairy farm that we had at Norcross, come to my grandparents up here in Forsyth County, You didn't leave without a full tank of gas because there was no gas station to stop to. You can come from Norcross, where I was born and raised at, to up here now. There's only 1 or 2 small farms that has any cows or anything like any agriculture left between here and North Forsyth. Yeah, it's getting to be where there's no farmers in Forsyth County, just a few in the northern end of the county. All the kids from Atlanta can come up from Atlanta and see what the cows smell like. Yeah, they get to pick strawberries, they get to eat some in the patch, they get to feed the goats, jump on the jumpy pillar and play in the corn bin. A lot of them don't know what corn is. Whole kernel corn even looks like. They play in it, and we have all kind of other different entertainments. We do 400 kids a day on the field trips. It's about our biggest that we can handle. During our strawberry festivals and on Saturdays, the parking lot will be full and people will be everywhere. And our season is the spring strawberry season. It runs from April to 1st of June. And then we start up in September for the pumpkins. And then at December the 1st, we start up for Christmas lights. They just love it. A lot of school teachers says this is their favorite field trip of the year.
Well, mark it on your calendar now. November 16th, Georgia at Auburn. Yes, the showdown has been set. And of course, if you can't wait before then, you can always check out Eastern Illinois at UT Chattanooga for the Panthers season opener. Little plug in there for my alma mater. Absolutely. Hey, good to see you, Marshall. Welcome back to the Farm Monitor, and yes, to another edition of Meals from the Field, our annual tailgating edition. Football season is underway, our favorite time of the year. We're sporting the alma mater, we're supporting them, and we've got some pretty good recipes and a little bit of a twist to a former recipe.
That's exactly right.
So what do we have?
These are, we're going to make taco cups, and this is a pound of lean ground beef that I've drained.
And if you might remember the chicken cups.
I know.
Those were very, very popular, so today
Still
we're doing
are.
it. Yeah, they are. So today we're going to do taco cups.
And I'm going to add a can of diced tomatoes with green chilies. And 3 tablespoons of packaged taco seasoning. Of course, you can make your own if you're so inclined. And you're just going to let that simmer a little bit, and for the sake of time, we're not going to do that. And you're going to stuff this in wonton wrappers that you've placed in the bottom of a muffin tin, and they look like a little cup when you get them out. Put that in there, some cheese on top, and you can garnish it any way you like. And they are so good. They're good cold. Obviously, they're better hot, but if you don't have a way to keep things warm, they're just as good cold.
And of course, as always, we're using fresh Georgia-grown beef.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Fresh, fresh, fresh. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to get right to the dessert because this is still warm. These are peanut butter squares. You're going to die when you taste these. They are so good.
And where are those peanuts from again?
Those are from Georgia, of course.
Those are Georgia peanuts.
This I've got in here, I've already melted this, is a 10-ounce bag of peanut butter chips that you buy in the baking section, 2 tablespoons of butter, and a can of sweetened condensed milk. What can go wrong with that?
Nothing.
You're going to add to that 2 cups of mini marshmallows. You stir that up really good. Then this is 2 cups of peanuts, and I lined this dish with parchment paper because it's easy to pull it out and you can slice them, cut them more evenly. So this is 2 cups of lightly salted Georgia peanuts.
Okay.
I'm going to put this over the top of it. If I can do that, this is a really heavy pan. And of course it will be a little more melty than this when you do it, but this is the only part that you cook. Okay, we're going to pretend that that's all on there. Spread it out evenly. Then you're going to add another 1.5 cups of peanuts to the top of it. And like I said, this will be a little
So a double layer of peanuts.
double layer of peanuts. Like I said, when you do this at home, this is going to be hotter and it will smooth more evenly and easier. And you just kind of gently press some peanuts on the top, and you can refrigerate them until you're ready to eat them. And I don't know that you could substitute peanut butter. I think it would be almost too creamy for this, so that's why the chips are in there.
Okay.
Okay, got that. Now, the last thing, and this is a southern staple really, is stuffed celery. And this is just cream cheese softened, about a teaspoon of seasoned salt and garlic powder, and about 3 teaspoons of chopped pecans. You stir that up, and you simply stuff it in the celery. And I did this the other night.
What about chopped peanuts in the celery?
You could do chopped peanuts in there. We got to be equal opportunity here. I did this weekend for some neighbors, along with some of these other things we were trying. The stuffed celery went first, believe it or not. And then there's always sliders that's really good for a tailgate. That is
Let's take a look at those real
turkey
quick.
tenderloin. You could do pork, you could use beef. And the reason it's turkey is they had the turkey tenderloin in the same refrigerated section as the pork. And I didn't look closely, so I got turkey. So that's why we're having turkey sliders today.
Well, there you go. You can't go wrong with that, though.
I serve it with barbecue sauce, honey mustard, whatever you like, pickles.
And as always, this stuff pretty simple to make, and you can make it the night before, and I guess then take it to your tailgating parties?
I don't know that I would make, if you were going to take these taco things, I wouldn't stuff them until you got there.
Till you got there.
Yeah, but you could go ahead and make the mixture ahead of time, but everything else you can do ahead.
Right, and I'm sure you're probably wondering at home, well, how can I make all these without rewinding the TV and trying to write everything down? You don't have to do that. All you got to do is go on to farm-monitor.com. All the recipes are there for you. Marcia sends them to us every single month. They are in great detail. Folks, let me tell you, if I can do it, you can do it. So what music is that do I hear? Is that the Eastern Illinois fight song playing again?
I bet you it is.
That is our cue to say so long for now and so long until next month. Marcia, good to see you
Ray.
again.
See you next month.
Good luck to your Tigers this year. Good luck, Bulldogs. And of course, good luck, Panthers. And we'll see you next month.
Ray and Marcia, thanks so much. Now here's something you garden enthusiasts are going to want to know. If your roses aren't looking so rosy, there's a good chance they're infected with a virus. Extension Corner with Paul Pugliese is next.
Hi, I'm Paul Pugliese with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today we're in Cartersville, Georgia at a very busy intersection. There's a lot of noise in the background, but I had to bring you here to see a great example of a really bad problem. If you grow roses in Georgia, you need to be aware of a common problem known as rose rosette virus. This is actually an old virus that's been around since the 1940s, but really wasn't actually identified as a common problem until around 2011 is when pathologists actually confirmed that this was an issue. It's now showing up in rose bushes in just about every commercial landscape planting and in backyards throughout metro Atlanta and just about anywhere in the state of Georgia. I see it all the time everywhere I go. And so this is an example of a planting of knockout roses, and other rose species are susceptible to this disease as well. But this particular variety actually is one that is highly susceptible, and we're seeing it more and more common in this variety because it's planted so often around metro Atlanta and throughout Georgia. It's a very popular rose variety, and we're seeing this disease now. This particular disease, again, is a virus. It's not a fungus disease. It's a virus that infects the plant. It can actually be moved by a couple of different ways. One, there's actually a tiny little mite called an irophoid mite that can actually pick up the sap on these branches and carry the virus and infect from branch to branch or leaf to leaf. It can also move by pruning tools. So if you have a landscaper or somebody that does any pruning or maintenance on your roses in your landscape, if their tools are infected or contaminated with the virus, they can actually move that virus from landscape site to landscape site. What you need to watch out for as far as the symptoms of this disease, you'll get a lot of new succulent growth that has a really dark reddish color sometimes in the early springtime. You'll get a lot of thorns, excessive thorniness. Then you'll get some branch dieback associated with this. You'll get some leaf curling and leaf twisting. Really, really weird, unusual symptoms associated with rose rosette virus. If you have it, it's usually pretty obvious by the time the plant is fully infected at that point. Unfortunately, there is no cure for this disease. So if you have roses that are infected with this virus, you have to destroy them. You either have to bag them up, haul them away, or burn them is actually the recommendation. If you leave them out there, there's a good chance that this virus will move to other roses in your landscape. It takes about 2 or 3 years for the virus to get bad enough in the plant before it will probably die, and there are no resistant rose varieties out there that you can use as a substitute, unfortunately. The mites actually are another issue that we have to worry about. Some people ask, well, can we treat for the mites? Yes, you could spray for the mites, but realize that these mites are really, really hard to control. They're very, very tiny. You almost need a microscope to see them. And so control is really not the best option for managing this virus. Even though they do carry the virus, those mites can actually be blown by the wind. They don't really fly, but they can blow in the wind and move from plant to plant and go several feet down the road pretty quickly. All right, so one of the best ways to manage this disease is to make sure you clean your tools. And you got to disinfect those tools with either a bleach solution, Lysol disinfectant, or even rubbing alcohol. So these are all good options for disinfecting your tools. And you can mix it up into a spray bottle solution, and you'll actually spray down those tools. And you'll actually want to leave that or let it soak for about 10 seconds. And that'll make sure that you clean that tool really good and get the virus off. And after about 10 seconds, you can wipe them dry. I would caution you that if you use a bleach solution, that it can rust your tools. So when you're done at the end of the day, if you use bleach especially, you'll want to wash them off really good, apply a little bit of a lubricant, and then oil them really good for storage, and then they're good to go for the next day. If you have a lot of roses that you need to disinfect your tools with, it's a good idea to stop and disinfect at least between each rose plant. But if you have a lot of plants, it may be time consuming to have to stop and disinfect your tools all the time. So one way to do that is to mix up a solution into a bucket and have several pairs of pruning tools soaking in that bucket. That way you'll have one ready to go for each plant that you go to. Again, with these plants that are behind me, the recommendation would be to pull those plants out, get them out completely. But if you have any plants that you're just not too sure about or they might be infected, and you just want to be extra cautious, again, take the time to disinfect those pruning tools and insist that your landscaper do the same thing. If you have a landscaper or a professional that comes out and prunes your roses in the landscape, they need to take the time to do this as well. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to call your local county extension office or go to our website at ugaextension.com, and be sure to follow us on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
All right, thank you, Paul, and thank you for watching the Farm Monitor.
Now, before we go, a reminder for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening down on the farm, be sure you check out our social media pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and with us here on the show.
Take care, everybody. We will see you next week right here on the Farm Monitor.
As always, have a great week.